Hey guys, I'm Krista, and this is my big sister Stacey.
And this is Sister Social Call. Well, hello, Sissy.
Hey sis, how are you?
I'm good. Happy Saturday.
Happy weekend. Here we are. We are on episode number 10 today.
Double digits.
Double dig. We've surpassed the 2-month mark, and here we are. We're just cruising right along.
Before we get started and too far into the podcast today, I'd like to acknowledge that we are recording this episode on March 8th, which is International Women's Day. So to all of our fearless, incredibly talented women in our lives, we see you busting your asses as mothers, partners, sisters, daughters, aunties, entrepreneurs, employees, and teammates. So thank you for filling our hearts and our minds. So happy International Women's Day, everybody.
Happy International Women's Day to the women. We are surrounded by many magnificent women.
Absolutely. And we know that lots of them are listening. So cheers to all you babes out there. Quick funny story, though. Yesterday, our dad sent us a Happy Daughter's Day message.
I called him out on that.
I said to him, are you sure you don't mean like Happy International Women's Day? No, I swear it's Daughter's Day. I'm like, well, thanks, Dad. Dad was off by, I don't know, 6 months.
Yeah.
What did you say to him?
I said, oh, thank you. I didn't realize it was International Daughter's Day today. And he said, I heard it on the radio. Could be false news, though. And then he messaged me back saying, oh, it was September 24th. I said, that's okay. That's okay, Dad. Every day is International Daughter's Day for you. And he said, yeah, that's true. Every day is Daughter's Day for me.
Awesome.
Good of him to think of us. Thanks, Dad. Oh, that was really nice.
Yeah, and we will look forward to your message appropriately in September.
Yeah, don't forget.
You remember.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Too funny.
Last week, we gave an update on your likes. I haven't even told you how many likes you had on the episode last week, so would you like to know?
Yeah, I was wondering about that, but I figured you'd wait to tell it at the most opportune moment.
Like right now?
Like right now, yeah.
You said like 23 times.
Well, that's kind of what I suspect. However, I've been trying to not say it as many times, so that's a little high for what I like. But I'm working on it. I even work on it in the salon chair when I have clients in, because I get thrown the likes out there like nobody's business. And so I've been very mindful of trying to slow down my conversation and stick with it. So how much do I owe for the jar?
$5.75.
Oof, I'm already going to be at 13. No,
like $11.
$11. It's just going on up. However, you're calling me out on mine.
I know. I was just going to say this, but you can call me out. It's what sisters are good for.
See, had a plethora of inappropriate likes last week. So it's funny how that happens. Sometimes it happens where you get talking and you're talking too fast, or you're not thinking about what you're saying. And Stacey's very good at not saying it. And as it was happening, in my head, I was thinking, it's not just me after all. I didn't even call her out on it till she said something to me about it.
Mm-hmm,
she said her likes were offensive.
There was an abundance of use of the word like last week, for sure.
But the reality is we're working on it. So it's the best we can do.
And I'm also the editor, so I can take my likes out very easily.
And you don't have to pay a penalty.
No, the penalty is taking the likes out of the edits. Okay, sis, why don't you tell us what we got going on this week on this episode?
All right, you guys, we are going to talk about hair. So as you all know, I'm a hairstylist by trade, and I own an Aveda salon in Regina Beach, Saskatchewan. I've owned it for 11 years. It is something I am passionate about. I love doing hair. I love the art of it. I love being creative, and I love the people. So it's a big part of my life. Every single day of my life, I am surrounded by hair. So I thought, let's take a moment to talk about some of the questions that people often have for me that come up on a regular basis. I always think if a couple people ask, then there's a lot of people wondering. I do want to give the disclaimer, though. This is all the information we're going to talk about here today is all based on my personal experience and expertise of doing hair for the last almost 15 years. This is not necessarily what every stylist would say. Everybody kind of has their own style, their own tips and tricks that really work for them. This is me. This is my knowledge. I'm an Aveda salon, and I've been trained by Aveda for the last 11, 12, like 13, 14 years. So a lot of this is what comes from me and using the product for so long. So you'll hear me talk about Aveda because I'm a die-hard Aveda user and supporter. This is just my very personal opinion about everything. And so this is coming from my years of experience and just what I see in my salon on a regular basis. If you have any of these issues that come up in the conversation, my best tip to you is to book a consultation with your hair care service provider, to go in there and talk to them about what is going on with your scalp, your hair, all that stuff, because not everybody is an Aveda salon owner, and there's a huge abundance of different products out there. We don't know everything when it comes to the head and the scalp, and there's not a ton of research done on lots of different areas. A lot of it is based on trial and error. That's my disclaimer for this episode.
Okay, sis, today you gave us a list of things that you often get asked. The first question is, how often should people wash their hair?
This is a great question that people always have. And I used to always tell people, go as long as you possibly can without washing your hair. And this is very specific to certain things. If you color your hair, I say don't wash your hair every day because you've just spent great money on a hair color. This is very situational. So it's a very broad topic to talk about. But I always kind of say, again, talk to your hair care professional about it. But if you have dry scalp, you may want to wash a little less often because shampooing all the time can be a bit drying to the scalp. If you have an oily scalp, you may just need to wash as needed. And I know there's the argument, if you have a very oily scalp and you're stimulating it by washing it, you're going to continue to produce more oil in the hair, which is true. But you may not just want to be walking around with greasy hair all the time. So you have to wash it according to what your hair is doing and what you want to deal with. And so now we have products like dry shampoo, which buys a person quite a bit of time in between, but you still don't really want to be putting that on your scalp and then not washing it for, weeks and weeks on end. But if you have very dry hair, you don't want to be washing it every single day because it'll be more dry. Colored hair, you want to wash it less, but you want to use a color conserving shampoo and conditioner. You spend good money to have your hair colored, use the product to maintain it. It's noticeably different how long a person's color will last if they're using the appropriate product and maybe not washing it every single day. If you're washing it every day, your color will fade. You'll be going back in for a touch-up before you know it. Curly hair, I always say wash it a little bit less. Curly hair is already more dry and brittle as it is just because the texture of the hair is curly, so it's a bit different than straight hair. So I always say wash it a bit less. But again, if you're somebody that uses a ton of product in your hair, you may realize you need to wash it a little bit more. Then the aftercare with curly hair is another thing. So the right conditioners, the right leave-ins, the right curl products for that, because those products should be designed to put moisture back into the hair if you're using good professional product. I have some clients who have pretty flat hair that just doesn't have a lot of volume. I will often suggest to them, you may want to wash your hair, but avoid using conditioner on it. Sometimes if you just want a little bit more textured, then I would say just use shampoo. I could not do that because my hair would be tangled, but some of my clients I recommend just use conditioner one time a week. Dry shampoo is amazing. It can really give you some time in between shampooing. But all in all, now I say to people, wash your hair as needed. I don't use a ton of product in my hair, but I do always put something in it. So I've actually been washing my hair. I used to wash it maybe 7 to 9 days, and now I'm going about 3 to 4. I find my hair just loves me a lot more. It does what I want it to do. It's not getting greasy. My scalp's not getting itchy. And so I do think for what you're doing to your hair, you have to shampoo accordingly. So those are kind of my basic tips just for kind of every day.
I have a question.
Okay.
Is dry shampoo everybody's friend, or is there just specific hair types that work better with dry shampoo than others?
I think dry shampoo is everybody's friend. And the reason I think that is because perhaps you don't need to use it. So the one that I sell and have at the salon is a powder. It's not an aerosol. I find the aerosol ones have alcohol in them. They can be very drying to the hair. So I highly recommend a powder. So it can also be used as a styling aid. So maybe you don't have greasy hair, or you're not in the second or third day and you're feeling like your hair's just not really behaving the way you want it to. You can use it. It's almost like a little back comb in the bottle, and it can help to fluff up your hair a little bit, give you some volume again, so it's not laying flat. So it can be kind of the whole buy you another day between shampoos, or can be used as a styling product. I do think it is everybody's friend, maybe not in the context of using it in between shampoo days, but it can be used as a styling product too. So
is it good for people with short hair?
Oh, great. I use it lots. The powder stuff that I have at the salon. I use it lots. I put it in first, and then if I'm styling it with a little bit of wax or paste, it's just this beautiful base to give height and lift. Oh. And then you can add texture with the paste. So yes, dry shampoo is wonderful.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about oil and hair.
Oil and hair. This is oil that people put in their hair as a styling product. This is something I am having a huge shift in my hair world right now, because for years, everyone was obsessed with oil, putting oil in the hair, putting oil on the hair, oil in your shampoos, oil, 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 oil. And it adds great shine. It looks great. It adds moisture. Well, here's the problem. Many oils are synthetic, and they do not actually penetrate the hair. They sit on the hair shaft, and that is not adding any moisture. All it's going to do is sit on the hair shaft, add shine. And that's all fine and dandy as a finishing product. But here's the thing. When we're using that as a finishing product, people are washing their hair less, but they're styling their hair more. So for instance, this morning I got up, I washed my hair last night. I got up and I curled my hair this morning. Typically, I would put some oil in my hair as a finishing product, add that shine, separate my curls a bit, carry on. Well, then tomorrow I got to touch up my curls, but I've done nothing. But I have that oil in my hair. What happens when you heat oil in a frying pan? You cook food with it. What happens when you heat your hair that has oil in it? The amount of stingy, damaged hair I've been seeing, I can't even describe it. And the only thing I can think that can be causing this is the lack of shampooing your hair and the lack of using a heat protectant, but oil, oh my gosh. So I am actually moving away from the oil, and I think people should also consider this in their hair care routine, because it's causing heat damage, it's causing breakage, brittle hair, frizzy hair. It's wild. So I've been getting into using other products as a finishing product that add the shine. They're more cream type things. So I'm saying if you don't want to use a heat protectant, then lay off on the freaking oil.
Thanks for the hot tip on making sure that there is a time and a place for oil.
There is a time and a place for it, but people are fairly obsessed about it. So I just wanted to make a mention about that.
Okay, how about dry and damaged hair? What can you tell us about how we can fix this problem?
Dry and damaged hair is a big thing, because people are coloring their hair a lot and people are using a lot of hot tools. They're styling their hair more regularly with heat. And hair, think about back in the day, ladies used to go get their hair done once a week. Set it and forget it was kind of the whole motto. And nowadays, we are styling our hair every day, and hair just can't handle what we're doing to it. You got to use all the right product. And so by that, I mean, you're using good shampoo and conditioner, a heat protectant, and a leave-in conditioner. That if there's one thing I can say, when you're done washing your hair, grab a little bit of a leave-in conditioner that has a heat protectant in it as well. Throw that in if you use nothing else, because then it'll protect your hair from the heat that you're going to use, whether it's your blow dryer curling iron, any of that stuff. But yeah, dry and damaged hair is a big one. And most of the time, I think it really truly is the overuse of heat and a lack of using a heat protectant. It's something so simple that we can just use at home. And it is sometimes like pulling teeth to get my clients to buy heat protectant. It's crazy. People just think, no, or they'll say, yeah, I got one at home. And then they come back and their ends look like they've been lit by a lighter. And I know that's not from overprocessing. That is from heat. And so you cannot lie to us. We know what's happening. So
does dry and damaged hair lead to hair loss?
Yes, dry damaged hair would lead to like breakage of the hair. And so I wouldn't say necessarily it's going to be hair loss from the scalp out, but you would notice hair loss because it would be breaking.
Okay, so why don't we talk a little bit more about hair loss then?
Hair loss is such a topic because there isn't a lot of understanding about that. If you're experiencing hair loss, sometimes there's alopecia, which is, if you've ever seen it, you can see on people's scalps where there'll be kind of like a circle where there's a patch of hair that's totally gone. I see that often. And that's something where typically the hair does grow back, but not in all cases. And then there's just genetically, people are predisposed to hair loss in their lifetime. Medications, sometimes their side effects are hair loss. So I would say, from dry damaged hair, you would more experience breakage. Hair loss is essentially when the follicle is not producing hair anymore, so it's not working. So I don't know a ton about this area, but the one thing that I do know is that if your follicle is not producing hairs, so for instance, a man who's gone bald, my boyfriend, my dad, my brother, if your follicles aren't producing hair, there's little to nothing that can be done to get those follicles producing hair again. There could be somewhere in the world where they're working on something with this, but I have no knowledge of it at all. People come in and we have an entire line that's specific for hair loss. I'm very true and honest with them saying, you know what, this product line is meant for maintaining healthy hair, promoting healthy hair growth and a healthy scalp, but this is not going to make you start growing hair where it's not growing. And that's the reality with hair loss products, is that the idea behind them is to prevent and to maintain the hair that you already do have and create a healthy scalp, create healthy hair. Unfortunately, there's just nothing topical that you can really use, unless maybe there is something that's very expensive that would be prescribed to you from a dermatologist or a doctor or something, but obviously that's not me. So as far as the hair world goes, there's not a lot we can do with hair loss, and there's just not a lot of real information on it other than like genetics. I tell people, if something's going on with your hair, look inward, because the hair often will tell a bit of a story. So I have a client and I did ask her if I had permission to tell this story, and she said yes. And I do have a couple pictures of what her hair looked like that I'm going to post sometime this week. So she messaged me a couple pictures of her hair, and on the right hand side, it was all frizzy and it looked all broken and it looked like a total disaster. We've been doing the same thing on her hair for 15 years. And on the other side, it was perfectly fine. And she said, what is going on here? And I said, well, I don't really know. I'll have to have a look when you come in. So she comes in and I could tell she did not look the same. We had a couple conversations about stuff. She was having trouble breathing. And I said, well, I myself have asthma. And I said, you probably want to get this checked out by your doctor, because you often, with my asthma, if something's going on with my lungs, they check my heart. So she came in with this hair. It was nuts. And it was only in one spot. I've never seen anything like it. It was broken. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I see this client very regularly, every 5 to 6 weeks, like all the time. And sure enough, she went into the doctor 2 weeks later, went into the hospital, into emergency, congestive heart failure. She has congestive heart failure. They've got her on meds, they're monitoring her, and this has been, I think, 2 years now since her diagnosis, just about. And her hair is totally back to normal. It was a work in progress. We had to work on it. We cut it a little bit shorter. She got onto like medication. Her health issues she'll never get rid of it, but it's under control. And her hair is back to normal. That is profound. But I tell people that all the time. I had this young girl in and she had alopecia starting, and her mom never noticed because she has long hair. It's in the back. But of course, when I'm cutting it, I can see she's starting to have these little dots. So I asked the mom, is she on medication? Has anything changed in her life? Does she experience a lot of stress, anxiety? Yeah, actually she was. She was experiencing a lot of stress and anxiety, getting bullied at school, and they were actually going to be switching her schools. Well, I just said, like, there's a good chance that this probably has something to do with what she's experiencing in life. She switched schools, alopecia's gone. But I do tell people, if something's going on with your hair, think about what else is going on in your body, because the hair, for some reason, it doesn't lie. Like,
I'd be curious to hear a little bit of your take on how Ozempic or weight loss medications are impacting hair, what you're seeing in your chair.
Hair loss. Oodles and oodles and oodles of hair loss. It's unbelievable to me.
Is the texture changing too?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say there's hair loss, and then the hair becomes really dry, very almost soft, brittle a little bit. Yeah, hair loss, lots of it. If it has the ability to do what it does to your weight loss, think about what else is going on in your body. And in a couple people, I've seen it kind of come back, but not come back to the point where it was prior to using Ozempic or any weight loss drugs, to be totally honest.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing those ones. I have a couple questions. Money is tight, as you know, these days. Which products should I spend my money on?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big subscriber to using professional products. Buy yourself a professional shampoo and conditioner that is specific to what your hair needs. So don't just go and be like, oh, hey, I think my hair's feeling dry today. Go talk to who does your hair. And even if they suggest you something in the salon, just ask them what they would recommend if you maybe couldn't afford what they have. So I always recommend just buy something professional. Go to what Chatters, they have professional hair care there. That's not what I would want. Of course, I want everybody to use Aveda because then I know what's going on with their hair. But buy something professional and buy it for what your hair needs. And I can always prescribe to somebody what their hair needs, like based on dryness, what their scalp's doing. And then the product I would suggest is always a leave-in conditioner that has a heat protectant in it. Always. Because for the most part, people are at very least blow drying their hair. Even if you don't straighten it or curl it, most people are blow drying it. And that way you've got your protection in there, whether you let it air dry or not. You're adding goodness into the hair. And then if you decide tomorrow you want to go tweak it and put some curls in it, you already have a base of some heat protection in there. That's it. That's all you need. I always tell people, if you go to the hair salon and they prescribe too many products, you never know what is actually working for you. And it's just, I'm going to say this. I love what I do, but I'm not going to sell you things that you don't need and things that you don't know are going to work for you. So if you go to the hair salon and someone tries to load you up with 20 products and you've never actually used them before, they're just selling it to you. Sorry. They really are. Honestly, you just start with one thing and see how your hair reacts to it, because you know what? It may not work. And then here you are. I have people that come in and they have all these products that they use and they don't even know what they're for. They're just told to use it. Waste of money. So save yourself some money, go get a consultation.
Okay.
And get a prescription. Yeah.
Okay, and I have just one last question. You know that I have psoriasis on my scalp. And I think this is a pretty common scalp problem, actually.
Yeah, it is.
What do you tell your clients when you see conditions like psoriasis?
Well, I often tell them to see a dermatologist because that's kind of out of the scope of what I do. Like, I have a line at the salon that's called Scalp Solutions, and it's something that I would suggest to people. But there's more to psoriasis than it just being a skin condition. It's an autoimmune disease, to be honest. So it's more than just a topical thing. Like, I honestly think I think it has a lot to do with our gut health. Truly. But as far as professional advice on that kind of stuff, I tell people to not use Head and Shoulders. And I tell them to see a dermatologist, because lots of people run to Head and Shoulders because it absolutely does work, because it's so stringent and it's so stripping that I don't know. My mom once told me a story about how the first house they bought, my mom and dad, their bathtub was stained yellow, and dad always used Head and Shoulders. And anyways, the dog knocked the Head and Shoulders into the bathtub, and the only thing that took the stain out of the bathtub was Head and Shoulders. They told me that story, and from hearing that, I forever tell people, don't use that. If it can take a stain out of a bathtub, what is it doing to your scalp? And it's temporary. As soon as you stop using it, it doesn't work anymore. You're back to square one, right? So that's what I would say. I know you've tried a few different things. You've seen your doctor. I don't know. Have you seen a dermatologist for that?
Not for the psoriasis. And it's interesting that you talk about gut health, because I went and got my haircut last week and my stylist said to me, your psoriasis, it's actually improving. What are you doing differently? And I said, I'm just eating so much protein. And I think I do have a lot less stress in my life than I did the last couple of years, but I definitely changed my diet and to have a lot more protein.
I love hearing stuff like that. I think it's so fascinating to me. But yeah, like I said, honestly, I believe hair and scalp they're a good indicator of something else going on inside your body. So pay attention to it.
All right. I think we're going to move on from hair.
Yes. That was a lot.
Yeah, it was. I'm going to do a sponsor message this week. This week I'm going to pump up my physiotherapist, Brian, who owns Copper City Physio here in Invermere. He has treated me a few times for a few different issues, and I'm always so impressed with his ability to take me from quite injured, in the case when I blew out my knee skiing, to feeling like a normal functioning human being. Their clinic feels like a very big city clinic, because I go in there and it's very modern and it has lots of great equipment. He is a very skilled professional in his physiotherapy practice, and I am very happy to support him.
Awesome. I think this is going to take us to our peaks, pits, and plans. And though you have it for me to start, I'm going to take a coffee break and let you start. Because I was just so busy talking about hair, it's time for you to tell us about your peaks, pits, and plans.
Okay. So I'll start off with my pits this week. I found out that I have high blood pressure. So that was, the health issues continue. But I am feeling really positive about what we got set up for me to address this. Got some blood work to be drawn this week and a monitor to be placed on in next week. So I'm feeling good about addressing it. Just getting older is just sometimes frustrating. And the other peak I had this week, well...
That was a peak or a pit?
Oh, sorry, that was a pit. Yeah, that was a pit. The peak is making sure that I'm addressing my health issues. The pit is getting diagnosed with high blood pressure, hypertension. Oh my goodness. I feel like it's an old person problem and not a Stacey problem, but we'll get that under control. The other pit. So I've talked to you before about that probably CrossFit's not my love, but it's a place that I go to do heavy weights. And as somebody that is aging, I need to do heavy weights. Right now there is a CrossFit open, I guess. I don't know. I don't know many details about this because I do not compete. I do not want to be on teams. I don't want to do any of those things. But I have been put on a team and have been entered into this CrossFit challenge against my knowledge. Everybody in the gym has been signed up for it. And so the algorithm in my Facebook has been showing the CrossFit Open exercises. And on Thursday night, I thought to myself, when I saw it, I thought to myself, surely we are not doing that. It started with 18 pull-ups. I can't do one unassisted pull-up. I can maybe do 3 or 4 with double bands. So I'm like, surely we're not doing that. And my other prayer was, surely that happened earlier in the week and I missed this, because this is not going to be a good workout for me if this is happening. Well, I get to the gym and that's exactly what's happening is that workout. I had to modify everything. It was exhausting. I just had a really off day yesterday from that workout because it was very frustrating to me. And I didn't want to be there. I had an option of leaving. I could have left, but I stayed and that's where I focused, was that I was present and I did it and then it was done. Not all workouts are going to be good workouts.
Truly.
So I went to bed early last night, which was probably a peak.
Sometimes when those things irritate us, that's what I felt myself this week too. I was feeling really tired, and things that normally maybe wouldn't irk me as much as they did were irking me, and I just knew I was tired.
Yeah. My peaks, well, I went for coffee with a really dear friend on Monday, and that was great to catch up with her. Going to my physio to deal with the neck issues. I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, the issues will not resolve themselves with physio alone, like the arm tingling that it's causing, but my neck feels pretty good. And then on Thursday night, I volunteered at the thrift store again. The thrift store opened up this week. It had a huge lineup on Thursday, like huge.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, if you look on their Facebook, you can see pictures of the lineup that was like around the corner for them to reopen. So I went on Thursday and helped restock clothes and saw my clothing group. So that was fun. And yeah, that was really about the week. My plans for the upcoming week, well, in an earlier episode, I talked about how we did nothing one weekend and then I scheduled a whole bunch of do nothing weekends. Well, that's this weekend. This is my do nothing weekend. And I have a few things that I have that I might like to do, but if I don't do them, it's neither here nor there. I am just going with the flow of my heart and the weather, and we will see where that takes me this weekend. I got to get groceries and do some food prep, but other than that, it is go with the flow all weekend. Sis, how about you share your pits and plans for the week?
Okay, my pit this week was just I had a few rough sleeps, and I don't function with lack of sleep. So on Wednesday night, 2:30 in the morning, I hear like hooting and hollering. Well, I thought people were fighting outside my window, and of course it's nice out, so I cranked my window open a bit because I love the fresh air, and it woke me up. And I thought to myself, what's going on out there? So once I zoomed into what was happening, somebody in my neighborhood had people over and they were drunk and leaving somebody's whatever. So there was nobody trying to break into my house or anything crazy. But that was on Wednesday. And then Thursday night, I had a hard time. I fell asleep for 2 hours and then I woke up and then I was wide awake till 4 a.m. And anyway, so that was pretty much only my pit. And I love sleep. I love having a good sleep. I love feeling great. So, when you don't sleep, you kind of almost feel hungover. I hate that. That was my only pit. And it was seriously nothing too major, really, in the grand scheme of things, because you can always sleep later, have a nap, whatever. So my peaks for the week, I had an awesome riding lesson with Magetta Girl. We had a really good riding lesson. And my instructor, DJ, she said to me, she was pretty proud of my ability to be able to trot and keep my horse moving and whatever else, and with such few lessons. So that felt really good because it's surprising how quickly you advance when you're taking lessons in something like that. So that was really great. And then another peak was doing the cooking class with Jolynn. It was great. It was an awesome little meal prep cooking thing. There was a bunch of babes there. And we were all hanging out and just cooking food together and visiting. And that was really, really awesome. And then I had food prep for the whole week. In fact, I still have salad left over and it stayed so good. And then my plans, well, I'm heading off to the ranch today once we're done doing the podcast here. So I'm going to head out to the ranch, see my man. And I've been missing him lots this week. So I'm looking forward to getting out there and spending time with him. And then tonight we're going for supper with a couple of our friends. Our ranch friends, Jess and Trig. Jess, she's a vet at the Melville Vet Clinic, and Trig, he's, they're both ranchers. Trig is on the farm running the ranch, and so we love to get together with them, and we're cramming this one in here before we all start calving, because everybody's got cows, and there's going to be babies real soon, so we're trying to get one supper in here before that happens, and everybody's busy, and Jess is extremely busy during this time because she's a vet, as I said, and she does large animal care, so she's probably going to be on call or something tonight even.
I was actually going to ask if you have had any babies this week.
No, we won't be calving until April. We keep kind of trying to push it a little bit later because it just makes our life so much easier when it's not cold or chance of snowstorms and things like that. So there's that.
Yeah.
And then next weekend, I plan to take my stepdaughter and her friend to the ski hill. So those are pretty much my only plans for the week. That's it. I'm going to keep it pretty low key because honestly, well, the other thing too is last week I said I was feeling overwhelmed and I can't do that. I was talking to Stacey before we got on here today and I said, I think what happened was I love doing all these things, but the things I love to do the most are being at home. I love painting. I love reading. I love going for my walks. Those are the things I love. And this is what I was trying to do this is one of my goals for 2025 it's about me and doing what I like and that fills my soul up. And not that these things don't, but some things fill my soul up more so than other things. And I'm just learning to figure out what those things are. This week, I want to keep it low key, not many plans, so I can come home from work, paint my little heart out, read our menopause book because I'm deep into that.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, like lots of interesting things. I got these little pink markers in the book to topics that I thought would be interesting to talk about when we do our book review. What page are you on?
I don't know. I'm getting through it though.
So I read that book first, and then I like to read something that I like, something more my jam. So I'll read that for an hour. That's what's been happening this week too. I've had to cram in some reading. So I've been reading the new menopause book for an hour, and then I'm reading Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown in between. So I gotta then I read that for an hour. It's like, who has time for anything other than all the things they love, honestly?
Who has time for being social?
Exactly. You gotta get 2 hours of reading in every night, and gotta try to do some painting. And of course I gotta get cramming my Love is Blind right now because that new episode's out, and the weddings are happening right now, so I gotta get a little bit of that in so I don't fall too far behind because I don't want any spoilers out there. And it's just a whole thing right now. I'm feeling like there's lots going on, and then trying to get these walks in because I'm behind on my kilometers. So, just a lot. But anyways, it's all good stuff. Things that I love.
Well, that sounds great, sis. I think that wraps up our 10th episode.
Wow, that was a good one. We had a lot to talk about. I'm so proud of us for getting to 10 episodes. It's amazing. Good work on all the things you've been doing, sis, and pulling this podcast together.
Yeah, same. I appreciate all your social media savviness. I have so many questions all the time. I don't even ask you them because I'm embarrassed to ask all the ones I have, but I appreciate all the work.
All the people you should never be embarrassed around is me.
I know, but it's just like, oh my God, she's just probably like, how do you not know how to do social media? And it's just because I don't care.
And you don't do. You're not an instinct, like you're not on that kind of stuff. So
that's right.
I'm proud of you. I see that your little projects in Canva, your like things that you're working on. I'm like, look at her go. Like you're navigating Canva like nobody's business.
I have used Canva in the past for other employment.
Okay, well you do well. Yeah, they're great. So you're doing great, sis. No sweat. Again, everybody listening, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Sister Social Call. We really appreciate the downloads and all the listens and all that good stuff. If you guys have been listening and you haven't given us a like or a little 5-star kind of thing on Spotify, all that good stuff, please feel free to do that and drop us a review. We would totally appreciate that. And if you're listening to the episode and you think that somebody in your life would love to hear it, or somebody it resonates with something in your life with somebody or whatever, please share the episode, because that's how more people will be able to hear what we have talking about and all that good stuff. So don't hesitate to share what we got going on. We would really love that. But thank you guys so much for all your support already. We're so pumped. Everybody's just been so fabulous. And all your kind words and messages and all that great stuff. We've been sharing some of that on our testimonial Sundays on Instagram. You guys are unbelievable. So thank you for that. Where can people find us?
People can find Sister Social Call on Instagram. And then you can find Chrissy and I on different social media platforms. So Chrissy, you can find her on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, especially with her 2 YouTube channels, her Blooms and Brushstrokes and her Horse Lake Ranch channels. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. But the best place to find Sister Social Call is on Instagram.
Sounds wonderful, sis. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. So thank you so much. Love you.
Love you too. Talk to you next week.